Hello and welcome to Granada Reports, live with the latest across the northwest.
Good evening. Here's what's lined up tonight.
Are Liverpool up for sale? We'll be hearing from the club's American owners and the fans as speculation grows.
If there is someone who has the money and have that passion, it will be nice.
Climate warning. Is our region ready for more extremes of weather?
It's out of Africa and on at the Palace. The Lion King is back in our region.
Hey, look, it's Peter Kay. Hey, garlic bread!
Hey, it's the future, lads!
His first tour for 12 years. Why Peter Kay's going back on the road.
And in the weather, it might have looked calm earlier on, but overnight tonight, a period of intense squally winds and rain passing through. All the details coming up.
Well, first, and reports tonight that Liverpool Football Club is up for sale. The club's American owners, FSG, say they are fully committed to the success of Liverpool and are open to expressions of interest from potential new shareholders.
But in a brief statement, they've stopped short of confirming the whole club is up for sale. Our correspondent Rob Smith is at Anfield for us tonight. So, Rob, is it on the market or not?
Yeah, that is the £3.5 billion question tonight. Just one of the valuations of what it would cost to buy this club. Reports from a highly respected online sports publication today say that John Henry's Fenway Sports Group, Liverpool's American owners, have prepared what's known as a sales deck. Basically, a big glossy brochure that you put in front of someone who's buying something to say, look what you can get for your money, and that two investment banks were helping out in that process. Fenway Sports Group's official statement doesn't quite put a giant for sale sign on the outside of Anfield, but nor does it rule out a sale entirely. It says FSG has frequently received expressions of interest from third parties seeking to become shareholders in Liverpool. FSG has said before that under the right terms and conditions we would consider new shareholders if it was in the best interests of Liverpool as a club. FSG remains fully committed to the success of Liverpool, both on and off the pitch. And what success it's been, bagging one of the best managers in the world, the Champions League yet again, and the first Premier League title to come to Anfield. But success is what fans want, and some today, eyeing up what Newcastle United and Manchester City are doing, are asking, what if?
I'm all for it. I think if we get the right owners in, more importantly, because FSG are a safe pair of hands, and in the 10 years they've owned us, they took us from where we were, being run by Roy Hodgson in the relegation zone, rubbish football. They've given us what we've got now.
If they're going to put money into the club, I don't really mind who we get. Yeah, just once they're willing to put money back into the club, yeah.
You even see sometimes fans cry out for more investment from FSG, but again, if there is someone who has the money and have that passion, it will be nice.
Well, fans group The Spirit of Shankly say they're seeking clarification from the club tonight, but they want supporters to be front of centre of whatever process is going on. Harriet Pryor is from the Anfield Rap, fanzine and podcast. Are you surprised by all of this today?
I'm hugely surprised. There was a lot of conversations around the summer over the ownership and over the transfer strategy, but never in a million years did I think this morning that it would amount to this news. And there's a lot of open questions that we still haven't got answered. Is it a part sale? Is it wholesale of the club? I think we need clarification on a lot of those points, and the fans need to be front and centre of any process going forward.
And are you concerned about who you get? Because the previous owners to FSG, not universally popular, didn't leave the place in the best financial state.
Well, no, and the manager has spoken about how a lot of clubs now have no ceiling, but they are owned by states, and is that something that Liverpool fans would really be interested in? I personally don't think it is, and they question the morality behind that, but is there a middle ground to be found between FSG and between being owned by a state, where there's owners that will come in and spend a nice amount of money but have, not have questionable moral rights records?
So you don't want a Middle Eastern state involved here, you're looking for something else?
I think there has to be a balance to be found. I think FSG on the whole have been relatively good owners, and I don't know if they would look to still be involved, but I think for the short term, especially for a bit of stability on and off the pitch, that they should still be involved and then see what happens moving forward.
Harriet, thank you very much indeed for your time tonight. Obviously those Middle Eastern states not here to defend themselves, depending on what you see as their records, but whether or not John Henry moves out of here, we shall find out in the next few months.
Yeah, one will be following closely. Rob, thank you.
To other news tonight, and lawyers for the family of Yusuf Maki have asked High Court judges to call a fresh inquest into the teenager's death. The 17-year-old died after being stabbed through the heart in Hale Barnes in 2019. 17-year-old Joshua Molnar was cleared of murder and manslaughter following a trial at Manchester Crown Court. An inquest last year ruled out both unlawful killing and accidental death as a conclusion.
Anyone keeping birds must house them indoors following the UK's largest ever outbreak of avian flu. A number of culls have already taken place in our region after outbreaks in Lancashire, Cheshire and the Isle of Man. The mandatory measures, which come in today, affect all poultry and captive birds.
Train passengers have faced disruption in parts of our region, even though planned strikes on the network were postponed. A strike scheduled for today by the RMT union was called off after progress was made in talks with Network Rail, but some rail operators say the decision came too late to reinstate a full timetable, which meant some trains didn't run.
Now, the world's leaders are meeting in Egypt to discuss the climate crisis at COP27, which started once again with stark warnings that time is running out.
Yes, ITV News has been given exclusive access to one of the planet's leading facilities here in the UK, which tracks trends over time to see how our climate is changing.
Here's our weather presenter, Emma Jessen, with this special report.
The evidence is mounting that climate change is no longer some far-off apocalyptic scenario. We're already seeing the impact of more extreme weather in our region and across the nation. Recent flood events here in the northwest have become more significant than ever over the last few years. Storms have become more frequent and more severe. But not only that, we're also getting droughts as well as floods, long dry spells, and when the rain comes, it comes heavily and all at once. Lots of rainfall in a short period, and we don't have the drainage infrastructure to deal with it. That's the change we're not yet set up for. In other parts of the world where they expect flooding, there's a very different system in place to deal with it. But even in places where intense rain is more common, flood events are becoming more frequent. So that seesaw of droughts and floods, that's where the problem lies and is becoming more and more important to people's lives. The Hadley Centre at the Met Office is a world leader in climate research, with detailed weather records stretching back to the mid-17th century. It's the job of climatologists here to use that data, alongside cutting-edge modern technology, to observe how long-term trends are changing and the influence humans have on our climate.
Heat waves are becoming more intense, more severe, more frequent. We looked at the chances of 40 degrees in the UK and we found that without human influence on the climate, these kind of temperatures would have been almost impossible. Now they are possible, and we did record temperatures above 40 degrees only a few months ago. And going forward, the likelihood is dramatically increasing. The change is happening at a very fast pace.
A major concern from those researching climate change is that if average global temperatures continue to rise, it can cause events which will supercharge the process, pushing us past a point of no return.
If we warm the world to a certain point, it could trigger something else. So, for example, there's a lot of methane which is stored in these almost like icy deposits. And if it warms to a certain point, they'll become unstable and they'll melt and all that methane will come out. And it's called a tipping point because you can't just shove it back in again. You can't be like, I'm so sorry, we changed our mind. But what we do know about tipping points is that the risk of hitting them increases the more we increase our emissions.
The research and observations made here are used to develop best and worst case predictions on what could happen in the future, depending on the actions we take in the present.
What happens with our future climate very much depends on what we choose to do in the next decade or so. If we reduce the amount of greenhouse gases that we put into the atmosphere, we'll have a very different future to one where we continue to emit greenhouse gases. We project that the future UK summer temperature will be 5 degrees warmer than it currently is on average, in a future where we have a larger amount of greenhouse gases emitted. If we reduce our greenhouse gas emissions into the future, that summer temperature is maybe only 1.5 degrees warmer.
The climatologists can only offer warnings. The power to enact change rests in the hands of our leaders,
who now shoulder the responsibility of making the decisions which can ultimately shape the very future of our planet.
Lots to think about
Yeah,
there.
the warnings are loud and clear, aren't they?
And here's what's still ahead on the ITV News at 6:30 with Mary.
Coming up in the programme, the COP Climate Summit kicks off with a warning: we are on the road to climate hell. The stakes are high as world leaders gather in Egypt. So what can be done to make up for what's been called a wasted year of inaction? Also tonight, the pre-Christmas lockdown for turkeys. Bird flu forces all of England's poultry indoors. And the series only started last night, but already one campmate is getting out of I'm a Celebrity. We explain why, and we have all of the action from Australia. Well, do join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
Now, one of the West End's best-loved musicals, and I must confess, probably one of my favourite musicals, has returned to the North West.
Yes, The Lion King is back at the Palace Theatre in Manchester for an extended run with some fantastic music.
The show was meant to come to the city in 2020, but was postponed due to the pandemic.
Our reporter Will Tullis has been to meet some of the cast.
2 years later than planned, The Lion King is back in Manchester. The hit musical returns to the Palace Theatre for the next 5 months. All the favourite songs and all the favourite characters are back.
I play the role of Nala, which is really exciting because, oh my God, Nala is so different from me. I'm quite reserved and shy, and Nala is so strong, and I would love to be Nala when I grow up.
I play Simba, the Lion King himself. I lived here for 3 years, and it's really lovely to come back. It's kind of feels like coming home. You know, it's an amazing city. It has such a vibrant culture and such a strong sense of community.
The show last came to the city in 2015, and this year, one actor from the North West is taking centre stage.
It's absolutely incredible to be back. It's an overwhelming feeling. The opening night was just so surreal. Coming out and performing in front of a home crowd is definitely an advantage for me, I think. My family's seen the show about 3 or 4 times now in different cities. But now we're in Manchester, I know they'll definitely want to come back home and see me in the show here. So it'll be a special moment that we're all back in Manchester together.
200,000 tickets have already been sold as The Lion King returns to Manchester slightly later than planned after COVID forced theatres like this one to close. But for many cast, crew and audience members, that wait will make this run of performances even more special. Over 200 puppets will be used in the show. Matthew is the man behind Zazu.
This guy, I think, is one of the hardest to operate. That's probably because I do it. But he is operated quite simply with both hands. So you have a trigger here for his mouth, and you can make him blink. So with all of those things put together, we can really bring him to life.
The Lion King may take place in the heart of Africa, but in these shows, expect to hear a few nods to Manchester.
The Manchester audience, I think, is probably the best. We've been on tour now for just over a year, and every city we try to tweak the show a little bit so that it feels relevant for the city we're in. And so as Zazu, I get a few very local specific jokes, which always go down brilliantly. And we play a lot here on the rivalry between Manchester and Salford, and the audience seem to absolutely lap it up. They seem to love it.
15 million people have seen The Lion King since it opened in the UK. And that number's set to grow even higher as the show comes roaring back to the North West. Will Tullis, ITV News, Manchester.
Yeah, great to see it back in the region. It is going to be an amazing watch, I can guarantee you that.
I can see why it's your favourite. Fabulous. Now, staying with football, and the Manchester Laces, who describe themselves as the city's first inclusive women's and non-binary football club, are in a row with the local FA.
Yeah, they've been penalised for fielding an ineligible player. In this case, a player with a female birth certificate and passport, but who identifies themselves as non-binary.
We'll be meeting some of the team in a moment, but first, here's the club's introduction video.
When you say football is for everyone, do you really mean everyone? this is an inclusive club, this is people that I want to be friends with, these are people that think the same that I do.
And as soon as that player pulls that shirt on, they know they're part of Laces.
What does it feel like to be included? Like, really included?
It's just a safe space to kind of like take your mind off everything.
Grassroots isn't just a term of endearment for the bottom level of a beautiful game. It is a way of life, the start of something magical, the first steps on the road to greatness.
No matter what team you are, I think your shirt represents so much. It's an ethos, it's a belief.
Yeah, a flavour of what they're all about. Let's cross live to Manchester Laces training session and our reporter Emma Sweeney. Emma, tell us what's happened.
Well, Gamal, the Manchester Laces have only been on the go for just over a year, so you can imagine their delight when last weekend they played in the Women's League and they ended up with a 2-2 draw. But that delight soon turned to both disappointment and dismay when they found out that the match had been annulled and awarded to the other team. And that's because the FA said they fielded a non-binary player, and because of their gender, they were ineligible to play in this particular league. Let's bring in Candice Collins. This came as a bit of a shock.
It did, yeah, because the player had had some documentation submitted like every other player. The documentation shows that they're female, shows the sex as being female. They are non-binary. We told the FA about this to try and engage in conversation. Didn't get any feedback, so we thought it was okay to play them.
Tell us what the latest is then with this.
The FA have suggested that the individual submits for hormone testing, which is incredibly invasive. The club aren't happy at that, and neither is the individual. They've also said that they do want to look at their policy because it is outdated, but they want to get their stakeholders around the table. We're one of their key stakeholders, so we're just waiting.
Well, no doubt this is an issue that you will continue to raise, but I know in the meantime you're very keen to highlight the wonderful work that's been done here. We see people training, of course, in the background this evening. You've only been going for just over a year and yet really, really popular.
Yeah, we think we were surprised initially at how popular we are. But yeah, we've managed to create a nice group space for everybody where they feel comfortable, they feel welcome, they feel that they can create and contribute towards that space, and we continue to empower people.
I mean, you sounded very modest there, but you've actually just won an award. Tell us about that.
So yes, we won Grassroots Club of the Year for inclusivity, for making sure that everybody feels welcome, whether regardless of sexuality, age, gender, ethnicity, and so on. So yeah.
Very, very quickly, tell us about the Lionesses and their impact on all this.
Well, the Lionesses have shown that women can play football and that people are interested in watching women play football. And it's also sparked a lot of interest, people coming along to see us.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much for talking to us. Well, that message here this evening, loud and clear from the Manchester Laces. As far as they are concerned, this is a beautiful game and one for everybody to play.
Yeah, it certainly is. Emma, thank you. Well, the FA says they're in dialogue with the player and inclusion is at the heart of everything they do, and they go on.
They say we are passionate about supporting and celebrating the diversity of our national game. The landscape around this important subject is both complex and constantly evolving, and it's vitally important we take time to ensure we have an appropriate policy in place. They also say we are currently in the process of reviewing our transgender policy for English football.
Now, if there's ever a time we need a laugh, it's right now. Wise words, but who said that?
Good evening, Peter Kay.
Hi, Peter.
He watches every single night, and I'm delighted to say he's announced he's going back on tour after 12 long years.
Yeah, good news for all of us. Bolton's Funny Man is already a record breaker for the best-selling shows of all time, and these shows will be in hot demand.
They certainly will. Our entertainment correspondent Caroline Whitmore is with us now. How fantastic is this, Cal?
This is the best news I have heard all year. I'm going to actually say that again. This is the best news I've heard in 12 years. Obviously, that was the last time we saw him, in stand-up. And we were gutted 4 years ago when he had to cancel due to unforeseen family circumstances. However, he is back. And he did it in only the way he could. He announced it last night during the I'm a Celebrity first episode. Did you see it?
Yeah. Brilliant.
How brilliant was that?
Yeah.
He announced it during the advert, and this is how he did it.
Hey, look, it's Peter Kay. Hey, garlic bread!
Hey, it's the future, lads!
Hey, when you back on tour?
Next month.
Where can I get my tickets?
They go on sale on Saturday.
Did you get your mum that bungalow?
Yeah, he wants a new carpet now.
Steve Royal, you're good friends with Peter Kay. 12 years on, and Peter Kay is back.
Yeah, you think it's good news? Yeah, he's chosen the first weekend of pantomime, hasn't he? I'm in pantomime at Blackpool Grand Theatre on the 2nd of December, and he's popping back into the line. I can't go and watch him, is what I'm saying. Enjoy it.
It's huge news, isn't it?
It's massive news. It's massive news for everyone involved, including Peter himself, because I know he's sort of dying to get back out there and perform, because he's a natural. Peter Kay could read a maintenance guide for a lawnmower and he'd make it funny.
I got one of them silent calls. They're almost as bad as them automated ones. You get it about 6 o'clock when I report this. I hate that.
You say 12 years. He wouldn't have stopped making notes in that time. He wouldn't have stopped observing. He wouldn't just go, all right, I'm not going to entertain for a while. I'll just have my blinkers on and focus on just the family. You can't help when you're a funny man like that. You're constantly working.
I actually text my mum the words 3 rings.
We're all struggling at the moment for so many things. The energy crisis, political turmoil, all these things that are perhaps getting us all panicking. What do we need? We need a bit of light relief. And who better to pop up at this time than Peter Kay?
Yeah, fabulous to see that he's coming back. But he's keeping it real in so many ways, isn't he?
He is, and this is why I think everybody loves Peter Kay, because he's so down to earth. And what he's done is he's kept the prices the same as 2010. So the tickets are £35, which, you know, like obviously with the cost of living at the moment, he is keeping it real for everybody. And it's no coincidence as well that obviously we know he used to work at the arena. He's kicking off the tour there on the 2nd of December, and then he's heading to Liverpool in January. So this is why we love Peter, isn't it?
So we're all happy, aren't we?
Yeah.
All happy. Do you think he gets nervous? Has he been away for 12 years?
I mean, you live in Bolton as well, don't you, Elaine? And I think he's Bolton through and through. I think he's so humble, but I do think he will be nervous. He'll be thinking, will people still want to buy tickets? But we all know that it's going to break records. Yeah. The internet's probably going to crash. Should we have predictions of how long it's going to take?
Well, I am going for 15 seconds.
It's 10 to 12 seconds, I think.
What do you think?
I think it's going to crash after 10, and that's
Straight
it.
away.
It's going to be like, because he's just great, isn't he? Everyone loves him.
Yeah.
So Saturday's the day, isn't it, that you're going to get the tickets?
Yes, the tickets go on sale on Saturday, and like we've said, he just has this way, doesn't he? And you know, it'd be great to have him back. His return to comedy, we can't wait to see him.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very entertaining. It's going to be an awesome watch, I'm sure. Cal, thank you.
Oh, we've just got time to just mention, do you remember when you used to be in our canteen and you used to chase us around in the canteen telling you to eat more chips if you got salad? That's what we miss about him, don't we?
Yeah, we need him back in here as well. Do you remember when he just took over?
Yeah, did the weather.
he did the weather. We were like, it's Peter Kay. Yeah. He can get away with anything though, can't he?
The weather had never been so interesting. Yeah, we can't wait for it. Can't wait for it.
Cal, thank you. I think JJ on Twitter speaks for many. He says, I actually miss his TV shows Phoenix Nights, Max and Paddy, Car Share, all comedy gold. She will celebrate his return to stand-up. Return if I secure tickets.
Yeah, that's going to be the big problem, isn't it? And everyone's going to shout garlic bread and all the favourite catchphrases.
Yeah. All the classics will be back.
They will.
Here's Emma with the weather.
Why do I need a shower? I've been out in the rain.
The faster you go, the sooner you'll be out. You'll save water too.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada Weather.
Hello there, very good evening to you. Hope you've had a good day. It may have looked all calm earlier on, especially across the Isle of Man, but the winds are livening up already, gusts of 40-45 miles an hour, increasing to severe gale force gusts of 60-65 overnight, as there is a short period of intense rain that crosses west to east. It does clear by tomorrow morning. Also, it'll be very mild for the next few days, and that's because of the jet stream, of course it is. It dips very far south down towards the Azores and then far north again as it pushes into the western side of the UK, sucking up these warm orange colours, which indicate a climb in temperatures to maybe 4 or 5 degrees above average by the end of the week. And currently, we're still a couple of degrees above average, so no frosts by night this week. Rewinding then to take a closer look at tonight. This is the band of rain to keep an eye on. As I say, a short period of intense rain, very squally winds as it all moves through. We're expecting maybe 80 to 100 millimetres of rainfall in parts of Cumbria, maybe affecting Honister Pass. There's also an amber warning for overtopping for the Isle of Man. Big waves at the coast. There could be some coastal impacts too for you, and always strong winds at the coast here as well. However, the wind eases down behind that band of rain, but still gusty tomorrow morning, gusts of 40-45 miles an hour, and the sun is up at 7:23. So taking a look at tomorrow, there's actually going to be a lot more sunshine around than there was today. Still some showers which will rattle through. Winds a big notch down on what they'll be like tonight, but still quite lively and a little bit blustery. Mild feeling temperatures, and then we've got some rain due on Wednesday as well. Bye-bye.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada Weather.
And that's just about it for tonight's programme.
Yeah, tomorrow we've got one of Coronation Street's favourites, Sherry Lee Houston, in studio to talk about her latest honour and why she's involved in a new Christmas advert which isn't selling anything.
Yes, looking forward to that. But Cal is still with us, and we've just been talking about Peter Kay. Cost of living crisis? The government need to get him on, don't they?
Turn the big light off. That's what he'd say, wouldn't it? I'm pinching all these things here. I bet he's watching going, Carl, that's in my stand-up.
Before you go to bed, think Peter Kay, turn the big light off.
Turn the big light off. I say it to my children every night. Do they listen? No, they do not.
They're kids. They didn't do that. Cal, thank you. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Good night.